Hey, welcome back to the Shade Tree, where we're continuing the transformation of this old 55 Willys. We did a little work on the hood last time. I've decided that we're going to put some aftermarket hinges on it because the ones that are on there are just not working well. We started working on the rear quarter on the passenger side. This week we're going to continue the rear quarter patch panels, replace these hinges on the hood, finish our hood hopefully. Got to take the radiator out, round out these holes so we can slide this over another ½ inch or so to give us plenty of clearance for our bottom hose. We got to get this passenger side fender and fender extension done. How cool would it be if we could slam this thing like that? We're not going to do it, fellas. Don't get any ideas. And also, as we continue on the body work, oh yeah, I am not looking forward to this, but it's got to get done. This will be nothing like putting bead rolls in a floor pan. No, this one's a lot more involved, so hopefully, things will go right. We cut the box out of the old S10, so we have that as the patch panel. I just haven't quite figured out how to get it in there. And possibly working on our doors. And also this week, steering. I've ordered the last of the steering parts. We can go ahead and get our steering linkage in. So there's a lot to do. We need to get busy, man. Alright, well, I think it's been a productive day. We managed to patch all the metal. Even got the corner in today. I'll say it again. For what we started off with, this looks pretty good. We still got a long ways to go, but it was a good productive day, I think. Tomorrow, I think we'll dedicate some time on putting this fender on, getting it welded, getting it mudded, and getting this whole side of this truck caught up to the driver's side. It's a tall task, but I think we can do it. We'll be back at it again tomorrow, man. Alright, now that we've got the back quarter panel starting to shape up pretty good, I moved my way up to the fender extension deal. Yeah. Well, needless to say, this fender is in much worse shape than the other one. And to compound things, when I went to cut to square it off, cut the wrong line. So we got to put this little patch in here. Things like that happen, fellas. You can see this fender is really in rough shape. We got to do what we got to do to straighten her out the best we can. So let me get busy. Now I got it stitched together. See how it's buckled right there? I'll keep hammering on it, but I think it's going to be what it's going to be at this point. Alright, well, I've been working on this front fender and fender extension all day long. I got it close. There's a lot more short strand down there than I'd like there to be, but it is what it is, fellas. I'm thinking that this was like the demolition derby side of this thing, because it was pretty beat up, but we got it somewhat straightened out now. Door sill or rocker or whatever you want to call it was totally pushed under. So you can see I bent it back out, but it's now concave. It's supposed to be it's supposed to be flat. Really heavy gauge metal right there, but we're gonna have to try to do something with it. And also in between coats, I figured I'd try to at least try to make these little, I don't know what you call them, little doodads on the side of the door. I made this one to mimic this one here, but I don't know if it'll work or not. The door sits flush with this edge, so this is really more or less a design element. I don't know. This here, like the other side, was bent in, only not as quite as bad. I got it to pull out. They're pretty beat up. I mean, this Jeep has had a hard life. Let me just say that. There isn't a spot on this Jeep that isn't dented, bent, or rusted. I think that'll do for today. Tomorrow, let's see if we can start working on this floor. But that is another day. Back at it again tomorrow. Alright, so I have decided we are going to make these, instead of finishing them flush. It is raised slightly, so I don't think finishing it flush would work. The edge of these things, I use the same die that we used to make this curve, and it fits pretty good. So it won't be absolutely perfect, but we'll get it welded in there and it'll do the job, I think. Got all of our little doodads back on the truck. They don't look too bad. We still have to straighten out our rocker plate or sill plate, or whatever you want to call that thing. That's got to get beat back in. We're going to cut this off here, and we're going to take this piece of metal off, flatten it again, and weld it back on. Driver's side, I'm thinking do the same thing. We'll cut it here, take this piece out, re-flatten it, and weld it back in. That's probably the quickest, easiest way to do it, I think. Once we're done with that, we're going to go ahead and start cutting the back of this out. We're just going to cut the spot welds off these braces and just take the top plate. We're going to have to order a new piano hinge for this because there's just no salvaging that. It's just shot. I mean, shot. The top hinge isn't bad. I mean, it still works. It's a little noisy, but well, maybe we can get some lubrication in that thing and it'll be all right. So let's get busy, man. Alright, we got this pretty much straightened out. This is the only part there's a brace right here, so there's no way to separate that. So I'm going to get in there with the channel lock, see if we can't bend the last part of that out. I'm going to call that good. We'll finish welding it up and hit it with a little mud and go over to the other side. Alright, we had to put a new piece of metal on that side. This one's pretty shot. So, you grind that down, finish welding it off, and that'll be done. Alright, so we got our doodads on, repaired our rockers. Got the doodads on the sides here, repaired this rocker. Heck of a lot more straight than it was. It's going to be different, but there's not really much we can do about that. I think the only thing we can do afterwards, we're going to cut this out and put a flat piece in. And I was thinking about getting a piece of 4x8 sheet of diamond plate and going over the top to give us a flat surface to mount our wood strips on. I mean, it's either that or a flat piece of metal. Not really sure yet, but I want to get the floor patched first and then we can go from there. Well, as rusty as it is, it's still got a lot of spot welds holding it on, so we start drilling them out. Alright, we got that rusty piece of crap out, finally. And, yeah. Let's test fit our panel and see how much of it we have to cut. These side pieces here, we're going to have to piece together. This is pretty solid here, but it's a little messed up here, so we'll get it all cleaned up and we'll see what we got. I cut it so it would fit down in that groove. You need to trim it here. We'll probably trim this piece back to this edge so we avoid running into our filler neck. We'll get the hammer and dolly and work this out a little bit, but I don't know that it's going to be all that necessary because we're probably going to cover it up with a piece of diamond plate anyway or something like that, just to give us a flat surface to put some wood strips on. Let me make some necessary cuts on this and we'll get it fit back in there and go from there, man. Alright, we got her fitted in there. Just got a few tappers holding it in place for now. It's nice and solid. We just have to fill in, cut some panels for the sides and a little bit on this side here. And you can see the middle of this bows down. I'm going to cut this out and put a flat piece in, and we'll figure out how we can raise this up and get it all welded together. So we're going to call that a success so far. We're going to have to order this hinge. Jeepsterman has this hinge, their bottom hinge here, for 200 bucks. I mean, gotta have it. There's no other way we can do it without this hinge, and believe me, I've thought about trying something cheap, but I think for this thing, we probably should go with the original parts. Just for this, the bottom of this tailgate. That's probably the smartest thing to do. So let's do that. Done a lot of body work past 2 weeks. A lot of body work. The only other real bad spot that I've seen on this thing is right here. We're gonna have to try the old screw and slide hammer trick, see if we can't pull this thing out. But other than that, there's a lot of sanding, obviously. Still waiting on our hood hinges. Got the fenders pretty much straightened out. The junk that we took out of this thing when we first got it, this gas filler neck was in there. I'm thinking we can put this baby right back in. Either some metal round tubing or a rubber gas hose. We can flex it to go wherever we need it to go. If we get the floor welded in here, just want to go ahead and put the gas tank in after the floor is done. Just want to keep moving on this thing. I'm going to go ahead and start filling in these side panels in the roof with that kill mat that we bought. Start sound deadening this, seeing how these fenders are pretty much where they're going to be other than sanding them out. We're getting down to it, man. I have an update on the piano hinge. So I went on the Jeepsterman site. It's out of stock. It says call for details. So I called. Gentleman on there informed me that they haven't even found a manufacturer to make the hinge yet. So that could be weeks, it could be months, who knows, but kind of looking like we're going to have to do something redneck back here. I didn't want to. I actually wanted to do it right, but you know, that's the way it goes. I'm sure most of you have used this kill mat before, but for those who haven't, it's just a peel and stick thing. You do make a roller that you can roll it all out, but I think your hand works just as well. Not much to it. Just peel and stick it in there, smooth it down. Bingo. Okay, so it's been a few hours, but I got a lot of the kill mat in. Looks pretty good in the back. Started doing some on the roof. This side done. Should quiet it down pretty good. Get quite a bit in that box. I don't think there's enough to finish the whole thing, but we don't really need to do the whole thing as far as that goes. I mean, if we just put pieces here and there on this roof, I think it'll be enough to take the tin canny sound out of it. One more thing done. Alright, we are out here on a brand new day and a brand new set of issues. What we have to do before we can weld this thing in is this brace here. You can see it's pretty rotted. But this S10 just keeps giving and giving, man. This is the brace we pulled out of the middle of this. Check this out. It's almost a perfect fit. So if we cut this off here, cleaned it up here, the only thing we would have to do is cut this piece off the bottom here. So we had just this part here. It's almost a perfect fit for replacing that brace. And once we get that brace in, we can cut this whole piano hinge out. So as far as hinge goes, like I said yesterday, Jeepsterman doesn't have them in stock. Don't know when they're going to get them in stock. So we're going to have to do something a little bit different. I'm going to have to shop around, see if we can find some kind of a hinge we can use to replace the piano hinge. We're going to put the back of this on hold till next week. We still have a lot of patching to do in this area to get it nice and solid. We got the remainder of the steering parts in, so we're going to go ahead and put the steering linkage in. So for those of you that have been following right from the start, you'll know this, but for those who don't, we found this old Jeep out in a horse pasture, put out the pasture, so I probably should have stayed there, but anyway, found this cow skull in the back. So right from the start I was thinking we should probably use that as kind of like the theme to this build, sort of, kind of, you know. I think it may have had blinker lights somewhere in here, but the fact that we may not even be using this because I went onto eBay to find the white faced sticker that goes onto that. Well, you know, in order to buy from eBay you got to create an account and all this and that, and I'm just not going to do it, not for a $30 sticker. So we'll probably end up using a different speedometer, and I don't know if the speedometer we're going to use is going to come with blinker lights in it. So I kind of came up with an idea. I found these on Amazon. They're just little LED lights. and I found this this cool little cow skull at like one of the hobby stores. So all I did was drill out the eyeballs and put those LEDs in there. What I'm kind of thinking of doing is mounting this here and using these LEDs for our blinker lights. I think it'll be cool. It's just something a little bit different that'll set this Jeep apart from other Jeeps, maybe. I don't know, maybe not. So we've got her hooked up to the jump pack. Let's just see what this thing looks like. Hope you can see it. Let me shut the lights off. Oh yeah, blinker lights, man. How cool is that, really? And what Jeep wouldn't be complete without a navigation system? That's some old school right there. Let's see if we can get the steering linkage fabricated. Okay, so I'm thinking we need a real short piece here. Connect that to the rag joint. And then we can come over here. This one here. Let's go like 2 inches. Probably be a lot quicker with a cutting wheel, but I like to do things the hard way. Okay. I'll be back in about 3 days when I get this cut in half. Alright, we got a piece cut. I think what we're going to have to do is drill through and through and pin that. So that's what we're looking at right there. I'd like to get this knuckle right in this space here between the 2 header tubes. And then after that we got a straight shot. Let's call it 3.5. We got our other piece cut. See how she fits. Okay, so pretty much a straight shot to the column. Let's call it 14.5. All right. Got the last piece of the puzzle here. Let's see what we got. I think the only thing we may have to do, we're going to have to get this isolator in here to hold that, which is no big deal. These here have a set screws. We're going to drill through and drive the set screw down in to set all of these. That'll keep it from coming apart on us. Alright, everything is pinned together. What we got to do is get this isolator drilled in. Figure out the best place for it. I'm thinking like right about here. We got our isolator in place. We use a big old Christmas tree bit to bore our hole. The only thing left to do now is to pin these through and through here and through and through here. Alright, everything is pinned together, bolted together. I guess it's the moment of truth. Oh yeah, look at that. You're working good, fellas. Kind of thought that these bolts might stick out too far and rub on the fender. They might, this one here especially. I think it's just clearing. So one more thing done. Well, we did a mountain of body work this week. The old thing's really starting to shape up now. We're still waiting on the hood hinges. They haven't come in yet. I was hoping they would, but they haven't yet. But I'll tell you what, the side of this truck looks a whole lot better than it did 2 weeks ago. Next week we'll be working on this back section again, taking this rotted brace out and putting the S10 brace in. We get the rest of this metal patched in, and then we get to work on this tailgate. Yeah, that ought to be quite the show. Because I have a renewed energy on getting this thing done. I don't know if it's because I can see the light at the end of the tunnel, or because the Dukes of Hazzards generally jumped our water fountain in the middle of town. Huh? Either way, I've got a renewed vigor to get this thing done so we could take it to a summer night's cruise before the season is over. Check this out. As always, I appreciate you guys watching. If you know anybody that would be interested in this old 55 build, share the video with them if you would. I'd appreciate it. And until next time, man, take it easy.